In 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant signed into existence America's first national park, a wilderness of geysers, mountains, and untamed beauty. But beneath Yellowstone's stunning landscapes lies something far more unsettling. Over the decades, people have walked into this park and simply vanished without a trace. No bodies, no clues, just silence. What happened to them, and why does this ancient land seem to guard its secrets so carefully? Welcome back to Golden Cattle Media, where folklore, history, and legend intertwine. If you're drawn to stories of mysterious disappearances, ancient legends, and places where the past refuses to stay quiet, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. We've got plenty more mysteries to explore. Our story takes place in Yellowstone National Park, a sprawling wilderness that stretches across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. Established in 1872, it was the world's first national park, a bold experiment in preserving nature for future generations. But long before it became a tourist destination, Yellowstone was sacred ground. The Crow, Shoshone, and other indigenous peoples knew this land intimately. They spoke of it with reverence and with caution. Their oral traditions warned of powerful forces, giant serpents dwelling in lakes, thunderbirds battling ancient creatures, and spirits that shaped the very mountains. The landscape itself seems alive. Geysers erupt without warning, thermal vents hiss with steam, and the earth trembles beneath your feet. It's a place of raw, primal power. Beautiful, yes, but also unpredictable. And it's this vast, wild terrain that has swallowed people whole. To understand these disappearances, we first need to understand the world these people vanished into, a world where nature's beauty masks something far more enigmatic. Our first disappearance takes us back to July 30th, 1900. Leroy R. Piper, a 36-year-old man, was staying at the Fountain Hotel, one of Yellowstone's Grand Lodges. After dinner that evening, Piper told those around him that he was going for a cigar and a walk. He never returned. The alarm was raised quickly. A $1,000 reward was offered, a substantial sum at the time. Detachments of cavalry were dispatched to comb the wilderness. They searched trails, valleys, and thermal areas, and they found nothing. No body, no belongings, no sign of struggle. Leroy Piper had simply ceased to exist. But Leroy Piper would not be the last to disappear in Yellowstone's embrace. Fast forward to April 12, 1966. The Johnson family was visiting Yellowstone, enjoying a picnic at the Cascade Picnic area just north of Canyon Junction, Wyoming. At some point during the afternoon, 8-year-old Dennis Eugene Johnson's sister Mary wandered off. Panic set in. Dennis and his father split up to search for her. Mary was found quickly. Strangers had discovered her and taken her to a ranger station. She was safe. But Dennis never came back. For 2 weeks, over 50 volunteers, including the desperate Johnson family, searched the area. They spent $14,000, a staggering amount in 1966, on the search effort. Every trail, every ravine, every possible path was examined. Nothing. Not a trace of the boy. The family stayed in Yellowstone for over a month, clinging to hope. Eventually, they had to leave. Dennis was never found. Decades later, the park would claim more victims. On April 6, 1991, 47-year-old Daniel Campbell was dropped off by a friend at Hell Roaring Creek Trailhead. He had his 1-year-old dog with him and a plan. He intended to illegally hunt for elk antler sheds to sell, hoping to make enough money to move to White Sulphur Springs. His route would take him through to Jardine, Montana. He never arrived. That day, snow began to fall. Daniel and his dog vanished into the white wilderness. The FBI, National Park Service, U.S. Forest Service, and multiple counties launched investigations. Campbell's family, convinced that law enforcement hadn't done enough, hired a private investigator. Still nothing. No trace of Daniel, no trace of his dog. 15 years later, on August 2, 2006, 47-year-old Bruce Pike was last seen at a campground on Indian Creek in the Wyoming section of Yellowstone. After that sighting, he was never heard from again. His vehicle was later discovered abandoned in the park. What happened between the last sighting and his abandoned car? No one knows. And then there's Stuart Isaac. On September 26, 2010, his black Lexus luxury sedan was found on Craig Pass, located in the Lower Grand Loop Road. The car was registered to 48-year-old Stuart Isaac. Multiple searches were conducted. Investigators combed the area. Stuart was gone. completely. 5 people, 5 disappearances, 5 mysteries, but the strangeness of Yellowstone goes far deeper than these modern vanishings. Before rangers and tourists, before roads and hotels, the indigenous peoples of this region understood Yellowstone as a place of power. The Crow people tell of a giant serpent that dwelled in Yellowstone Lake. According to their oral tradition, a Crow man was once scooped up by the mighty Thunderbird and carried to its nest. The bird needed help. It was locked in an ancient battle with the serpent below. The man gathered heated rocks from the thermal vents and hurled them at the beast. The serpent swallowed them, and the searing heat forced it deep beneath the waters of the lake. The various vents around Yellowstone Lake, the Crows say those were created during that legendary battle. There's another story, too, of Old Woman's grandchild, a powerful being who fought animals and transformed them into the landscape itself. When he killed a bison and a mountain lion, he buried them close together. From that burial, 2 geysers were born. While historians view these as creation myths, ways of explaining the park's extraordinary geology, they also reveal something important. For centuries, people have sensed that Yellowstone is different, that it operates by its own rules. Some researchers believe that disappearances can be explained rationally: harsh terrain, sudden weather changes, bears, hypothermia, accidents. The park covers over 2.2 million acres of wilderness. It's easy to get lost, easy to make a fatal mistake. But the complete absence of evidence, the lack of any remains, any belongings, any closure for the families, that's harder to explain away. The legends haven't stopped. Even today, Yellowstone is a place where the line between natural and supernatural feels thin. There's a phantom stagecoach that supposedly still passes through the park. Visitors have reported seeing an old-fashioned coach rolling along the trails where no vehicle should be able to travel, only to have it vanish when they get closer. And then there's the story from the 1920s. A park employee was instructed by his supervisor to inspect the wrecked E.C. Waters steamboat on Stevenson Island. Supposedly, there had been partygoers aboard the night before. As the employee approached the wreck, a storm began to build. That's when he saw it. A body lying on the shore, dressed in soaked clothing that resembled fashions from an earlier century. The man's face was blue, his eyes bulging. He had no pulse. The employee reached out, and the body vanished. So did the storm. Over the years, park visitors have described strange lights flickering in the distance where there are no roads, no buildings, no campers. Others have heard music, laughter, or voices echoing through isolated areas, sounds that couldn't possibly be there. Are these experiences tricks of the mind? Echoes and optical illusions created by Yellowstone's unique geography? Perhaps. But they add to the park's aura of mystery, a sense that something ancient and unknowable watches from the shadows. In recent years, the phenomena of missing people in national parks has gained significant attention. Researchers and investigators have compiled databases of unexplained disappearances across America's wilderness areas. Yellowstone features prominently in these lists. Some point to the park's extreme conditions: sudden blizzards in spring, thermal areas with thin crusts that can break without warning, wildlife encounters gone wrong. These are real dangers that claim lives. But others see patterns that don't quite fit. The lack of remains, the lack of any evidence whatsoever, the way some people seem to simply stop existing mid-journey, leaving behind cars or campsites, but nothing else. Paranormal investigators have visited Yellowstone attempting to document strange phenomena. They've captured unexplained sounds, unusual temperature fluctuations, and electromagnetic anomalies near areas where people have vanished. Meanwhile, the families of the missing continue to search for answers. Some believe their loved ones fell victim to the wilderness, others aren't so sure. So, what's really happening in Yellowstone? Is it simply the tragic reality of a vast, unforgiving wilderness? A place where nature's power can erase human life in moments, leaving no trace behind? Or is there something more? Something that connects the ancient Crow legends of serpents and powerful beings to the modern disappearances? Something that explains why this specific landscape seems to guard its secrets so jealously. Perhaps the real answer lies in accepting that some places exist beyond our complete understanding. Yellowstone sits atop a supervolcano, a geological force that could, if awakened, reshape the entire continent. The ground itself is alive with heat, pressure, and ancient power. Indigenous peoples recognized this. They approached Yellowstone with respect, and caution, understanding that they were guests in this realm, governed by forces older and greater than themselves. Maybe those 5 people, Leroy, Dennis, Daniel, Bruce, and Stuart, crossed some invisible threshold, made a wrong turn in a landscape that doesn't forgive mistakes. Or maybe, just maybe, they encountered something that the rest of us can only glimpse in legends and ghost stories. What do you think happened to these people? Are these disappearances the result of nature's harsh reality? Or is there something stranger at work in America's first national park? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you visited Yellowstone? Have you experienced anything unexplained there? I'd love to hear your stories. If you enjoyed this journey into one of America's most mysterious places, give this video a like and subscribe for more explorations of folklore, history, and the unexplained. Until next time, remember, some stories refuse to stay buried, and some places refuse to give up their dead.